Welcome to Florida Focus, a college football podcast. My name is Brandon. I am a lifetime Florida State Seminole fan.
And I am Chris, and I am a gargantuan Gator fan.
Love it. And we are putting aside our differences as rivals to bring you the fantastic world of college football throughout Sunshine State. Today is part 2 of our 2019 mega episode. We are previewing the 2019 college football season. And Chris, it's been quite a ride. We've covered the first 7 weeks already. Heading into week 8. We're both predicting our teams to have a winning record, so that would be nice if that happens, right?
Yeah, we have winning records, but man, the end that last episode we ended on a bummer. Both of our teams just losing. The Gators back to back. So let's see if how the rest of the season unfolds and if we can get some more W's for our teams.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so let's just dive right in without any further thought. And week 8, the Gators. Let's just see what you think of how they rebound. So go right ahead.
Yeah, we are back on the road at South Carolina after, I think, 2 losses. Most people at least think 1 loss to LSU. And this is crucial with how we respond to them as far as the rest of the season goes, because we still have Georgia ahead of us and then also a few other key games. But hopefully we can finish this stretch out knowing we have a bye week after this week. South Carolina, that game was so huge and important for us last year.
Yeah.
In the swamp. They are outplaying us the whole game, and finally Felipe Franks got angry at our fans and then took it out on South Carolina. Yeah. We pulled it out, huge comeback win for us, and then that really started off our ascension second half of the season there. This is going to be a tough one. This is going to be a really, really close game. Muschamp, he's always has a good defense. Bentley is a pretty decent quarterback. They're missing some players, like most teams are. But they also have to play an SEC schedule. They have a brutal schedule themselves, which I think plays into our favor. I think we do some kind of crazy special teams thing where we block a punt or we fake a field goal or something like that. And I have us squeaking out and winning 31-28. Maybe a last-second field goal to win or something. But I think special teams is going to be the key to this game. I think the Gators get a W, get back on track.
And I actually think you pretty much undersold South Carolina's schedule. They have the number 1 toughest schedule in the nation. There's no doubt about it. They play Georgia, they play Alabama, and they play Clemson. Good luck with that. Not to mention this game against the Gators. So, good luck making a bowl.
Yeah. It's going to be a rough one for them.
And it really, as you mentioned, depends on what their mood is. Are they so beaten down by the schedule they just don't care as much? Are they so motivated by recent losses they just want to get that win? It's really hard to tell. But I agree with you in the end. I think the Gators do get it done.
Okay. Good. I hope we are right.
Yeah.
I really do.
Well, I never really want the Gators to win necessarily, but I think they will, and I don't really have a dog in this fight. So.
Gotcha.
But anyway, after you were so kind, here's week 8. Florida State goes to Wake Forest. The Demon Deacons coming off of Louisville. Wake Forest is a borderline bowl team, but there's not a whole lot of strength beyond this. Newman came in last year and really provided the Deacons with some strength on offense, but they kind of struggle against everything else. And I would love to hear like a Wake Forest coach's recruiting pitch. Hey, you can go to Wake Forest, and guess what? You get to play FSU and Clemson every year. What else besides that can you sell? The 4,000 population student body, or the stadium looks like high school in Texas. I don't really know what the motivation is to go to Wake Forest, but you could really pitch like the poor defensive line or the bad defense. I'm just taking shots at Wake Forest at this point. I mean, the last time we lost to Wake Forest was 2011, and the streak I think continues. I'd take us 31-20 11-point victory up in Winston-Salem.
Okay. If you look at where Wake Forest lies in the schedule, this is your classic trap game.
Oh, I think so.
You have a huge game against Clemson, and then you have Syracuse coming up next. It's your homecoming. A lot of people are riding high in Syracuse, especially after the last season, and they even beat Florida State last year. Florida State's looking for revenge on that. I'm going with a shocker here. I'm calling the upset.
What?
Not because I like Wake Forest. I'm calling an upset. Upsets happen. I'm calling the upset. The trap game. Florida State gets snagged in the trap. Loses last second field goal, something like that. I'm not saying they're blowing them out. I'm going trap game, shocker loss at Wake Forest.
No way. I would take other games to lose, not this one. Oh, Chris.
Not because Wake Forest is good. Just because of the schedule. I know.
I mean, some of that.
I'm picking. I know. I'm ruffling feathers. I'm doing all this. I know. I'm going Wake Forest.
Some of that does make sense. After Clemson going into Syracuse, I get it. On the road, we did lose, I don't know, 8 years ago, but not this team, Chris. There's no way. I'm going to lock it in. Florida State guarantees wins this game.
Okay. This is my shocker of the year.
Okay.
It's the shocker of the year. But so far of this podcast.
I don't see it. I mean, they just don't have the talent. They have so much that left, and even as bad of a team as we were last year, we handled them as a 5-7 team. They weren't good.
Yeah, I know. That's why no one sees it coming, because they don't see it, and that's why it happens.
You see it coming. No one else does. Okay.
I see it. Right. You're right. That's why this is a shocker. That's why it's an upset, because no one sees it coming. But now that I said it out loud, it's not going to happen.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I just realized that there's a flaw in my theory.
No, man. If it's on record now, if they win, you're a genius, and I will owe you an apology, and probably a lot of more stuff off the record.
We'll see. We'll see. They probably won't, but I got to throw it in there. I'm going to try.
Yeah, but I mean, to give some credibility to your pick, the schedule and the time of year this happens, you're right. It could be a trap, because if we come off of NC State win, we're off a bye, Clemson looking ahead a little bit. Don't put it past you. But
Syracuse and Miami are next.
You're still a little crazy, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, I know. That's no denying that.
But I appreciate your boldness and sticking by your pick. So we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Love it. All right. So going into week 9, Chris doesn't have to worry about too much with a crazy pick. The Gators, what do you expect to see on a bye week where they're kind of?
Yeah, I just expect us to replay the Wake Forest Florida State game and just see how they. I think that's what we're going to be doing that weekend.
Getting ready for the month ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
Each other. But in reality, you're probably expecting guys to get rested up, watching some game film. You guys have a lot.
We're going to need it. That's a really good point to put a bye.
Yeah.
We're definitely going to need it, especially who's coming up next.
Totally agree. So week 9, as you said, we are hosting Syracuse, and I do have a bit of shocking news. There actually is somebody in the ACC that might have a worse offensive line than Florida State, and that is Syracuse. Okay. They have a lot of guys that have left, 3 starters as far as I know, and they're replacing their quarterback. Now, their quarterback has experience, so it's not like a totally brand new person coming in the system. But their running back position is not as good. They do have the best kicker in the ACC with Schmidt. Okay, whatever. And they're on the road. Even before we were conference foes, they never won in Tallahassee. So all of this to say that last year we lose 30-7 on the road in front of a screaming loud crowd of 30,000 fans. Yeah, that's even less than Vanderbilt. They thought, hey, we'll just turn off the AC to make them not perform as well. Didn't matter. We stunk anyway. I don't see a way Florida State loses this game. I think it's a revenge factor. I think it's better skill from top to bottom. I really think that Syracuse last year was a flash in the pan. I don't think they are able as a program to sustain like an 8 or 9 win program every year. And I have Florida State squeaking out a 1-point victory, 31-30. However, I mentioned earlier that I have like question mark games and swing games. This would be our next question mark game and swing game number 2.
Okay.
So how we handle this game and the pressure and how fast this team can run an offense at home really will dictate how we finish off the rest of the year. So again, 1-point victory could go either way, just like Boise State. Not totally comfortable picking us to win, but I'm going to do so. And I will stick by that.
Okay. Yeah, I agree that Syracuse, I'm not high on them. I think they were more of a fluke last year, surprising people. They're not going to surprise them this year. Florida State can be back at homecoming, looking for revenge. I think they handled their business. I say Florida State by 10. I don't even think it's going to be that close.
Yeah,
I think they right the ship against Syracuse.
I like that. I hope we are able to cover that 10-point win, because something tells me it will be as easy as it was before. And, you know, when you see a team celebrating in the locker room and jumping around and making SportsCenter highlights after they beat you, you just don't come out the next year and lay a dud. You just don't.
Right, yeah.
So I have a lot of confidence they're going to win this game, and that puts us at 6-2, surprisingly. Oh, boy.
Okay.
Scary.
Looking good. So you made a bowl.
Yeah. Improvement over last year.
Okay.
It's hard to believe that we were talking about the Gators doing that last season.
Yeah.
And then they went into a New Year's Six Bowl and won handily. So
yeah,
it's always possible to turn around completely, as the Gators proved.
It happens. Yeah. Definitely does.
All right. So that ends Week 9. Week 10, Florida has probably the hardest regular season challenge ahead of them. So how do you think the Gators fare in Jacksonville?
This is, a lot of people are pointing to this game as the game, and a lot of people are picking Georgia, but there are some that are picking Florida. I think that the gap is closing for sure. We saw that last year. We took strides to closing that gap against Georgia. Georgia's a good team. They are a really good team. They have a tough schedule too. They have a brutal schedule. But I think we're going to come out swinging. I really do. I think that we are pointing to this game. A lot of Gators and Gator fans are thinking, man, we played them real tough last year. Maybe even could have won the East if we just finished that game strong. But they got a lot of returning players. They got a lot of good depth. They got Kirby Smart. He's a pretty good coach, as we've seen the last couple of years. He's finally got that team going. I don't know if we are all the way there, though. And I have the Gators losing a last-second field goal, 30-31. I do like their kicker with the is he coming back? The guy with the glasses?
The glasses, yeah.
He's coming back, yeah. I say he kicks the field goal to win, and the Dogs escape Jacksonville.
All right. Well, Chris, I'm going to burst your bubble a little bit here. The Georgia Bulldogs have not won by less than 10 against any SEC East opponent in the last 2 years.
Ooh.
So Georgia wins by 10.
Okay.
I don't think it's close. They have all the recruits in the world. They have all the talent. And I don't think this is close. I think Georgia is still there. I do agree Florida is closing that gap. With recruiting, they seem to be losing some guys lately, which is odd. And a bit concerning. But still keeping the talent you have there developed. And so that's good. But I still think Georgia wins by 10. I really don't think it's close.
Yeah, I can't. I don't know. A lot of people, and like this is the game that everyone is pointing to on the schedule. Of all the games, this is the game. I think we're going to be hyped up for it. I don't know if we're going to be good enough to win it, but I think we'll be close. We'll be close.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. Week 10. Okay, so I just looking over the Gator schedule top to bottom. There were several games I was like, okay, it's no question. Gators beat UT Martin. They beat Towson. And to me, the other question is where they lose to LSU and they lose to Georgia. That's just off the top of my head. I just think that's going to happen. Those are certains.
Majority of people that the experts, if you will,
sure,
are picking us to lose 2 games, and that is LSU and Georgia.
2. Okay, all right.
Across the board, that's how a lot of people are.
Yeah, and just like Florida State, there's some question marks there. There's some games that are coin flips, but yeah. Okay. Well, let's hope for an entertaining game at least. And according to your prediction, it will be. So that'd be great.
Yeah.
Well, how about this? Week 10, we both play rivals. You're playing Georgia. Florida State is hosting Miami.
Okay.
And another question mark game for the Noles. Really excited to see how the Noles come out against this one. Especially given last year's game. Only lost by 1, but controversial call. The Canes could have scored late to make it worse, but they ended up just kneeing it out inside the 10-yard line. As a Florida State fan, I'm very scared of Miami's defense. Their linebackers, the defensive line, are the number 1 in the conference, and they are a force to reckon with. Pinckney and Quarterman kind of anchor that, but Diaz is a defensive guy. He kind of reminds me of like a Muschamp in the ACC. That's just his focus, which means the offense will suffer. But he did get a new coordinator, Enos, and as we mentioned, he has a freshman quarterback. So we all know N'Kosi Perry was not the answer. So I don't really care that he didn't start. I am surprised Martell did not get a starting job. It also doesn't mean he won't play. So they may decide 3 or 4 games in that their freshman is not the answer, and they may switch to Martell. That's fine. But some other things that I kind of worry about is their offensive line, their wide receiver core is very good. Their special teams are good, and we all know how scary their punter looks. So I don't want to get in this guy's face. He's pretty intimidating. No. Obviously, for Miami, their quarterback is a concern, but, new system by this time of the season, who knows? This is one of the rare times we're playing Miami in November, so we'll both be at our peak performance, and that will make a difference. I just really think Miami, I hate to say this, they have better athletes and a better system right now, and, we could overcome some of their weaknesses with our wide receiver depth. Our pass defense can really show up, and it really should result in a low-scoring game. Is revenge enough of a factor to kind of get over this? Are we going to have enough confidence? Are we going to, swipe the slate clean and kind of show up against Miami? I hope so, but I don't think it translates into a win. I take Miami by 1. Miami 24-23 upsets the Noles at home.
Miami by 1. The last few years, this game has been nuts. Very entertaining as a fan who doesn't want any of these teams to win. When you guys get together, it's been fun to watch. I'll throw that word out there for sure. I agree Miami is the better team talent-wise, for sure, and I do like Diaz's defensive mindset. I see Florida State winning this game, though.
Oh.
At home. It's just because last few years, Miami, of course they're going to win. They're the better team, and Florida State nearly beat them. And then in Tallahassee, Florida State should have won, and then Miami ends up winning. So because Miami should win, I'm going to go Florida State.
Okay.
At Doak. It's probably going to be a night game. The atmosphere's going to be crazy.
Right.
I got Florida State winning by, field goal.
And I hope you're right, because as we'll talk about this later as well, Taggart's really big on recruiting, and as a recruiting guy, you can't lose a game like this. But I look at the talent in the field, and I'm like, Miami's got us outbeat, as much as I hate to admit it right now. And so I just don't feel confident doing it. It would definitely be an upset, and I wouldn't put it past the Noles, but I'm going to take Miami.
Okay.
Ooh, gross. I feel nasty.
Don't like saying that, though.
Yeah. Yep. Man. Okay, so week 11. the Gators have another home game, and they're hosting the Commodore. So let me know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, this game is going to be a classic Vanderbilt game where we just sleep through this game because we're coming off the game against Georgia. Vanderbilt always plays us close. Last year they had us, for 3 quarters almost. Took a fake punt to rally us and get us going in a near brawl to get us going.
Yeah.
But I see us sleepwalking through this game. I see us, I still think that we win. Vanderbilt has got some key, they're running, I forgot the guy's name, but the running back's pretty decent. He tore us up last year. I like them to play us for a good half, 3 quarters, maybe early fourth, but I still think that we are just a better talented team than them. I have us winning 34-27, and a game that's going to be closer than it should be. And last year, Missouri fell on this date, and they just thumped us. So I'm a little worried about that, coming off the loss to Georgia at home, not wanting to be there. Most likely the SEC East will be out of reach. Will we be motivated at this point? And I don't think we will, but I still think we win.
Yeah, and I like what you said about Vanderbilt's offense because their running back and their tight end. Ooh, man, they have really come strides, and I'm impressed, Derek Mason, with the strides he's made, given the talent he has to recruit against, and given where he is, and given the size of his stadium. I mean, good Lord, they host like 31,000 people. That's a third of the Swamp. That's insane. And to know that he can still go in there and be decent and be viable for a bowl every single season, pull some upsets against the East, and every once in a while against the West, give a game. You have my respect. The brawl last year was just kind of funny. I mean, that was in an FSU bye week, so I was like, I gotta watch this game, and then I was like, oh man, This was great. How about that? But I agree that Vanderbilt probably doesn't get it done. I like a high scoring game. Your mid to upper 30s is probably about right. Maybe a few more points than you predicted, so maybe like 34-31 kind of deal. Just because they can probably move the ball. It's just hard to move against the Gator defensive secondary, and so I just have doubts about that, that they can't move the ball passing. But intermittent throwing and rushing, they should succeed in that. So, be a fun game to watch, but the Gators win in the end.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. So week 11, Florida State comes off of a game where they had another close call last year, and we are at Boston College. At first, I was kind of worried about this game. After I looked at Boston College returning starters and their schedule, I'm really not worried anymore.
No.
Are they another bowl team, Boston College? You're not even sure. They're going to struggle with anything but running the ball because they have one of the best running backs in the country. And that's about all they have. Last year, you would have said they had a really good secondary, but they all moved on, graduated, or went to the NFL, and so there's very little talent left. And, Adazio, as good as he was for the Gators, he may be on the hot seat this year. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, what do you really expect with Boston College? Do you expect the ACC contention days? I don't know. Anyway, we've had a lot of success against BC over the years. I really don't see us allowing another game where we repeat a close game. And a lot of the times we've lost to BC, they were isolated losses. Their pretty much focus is the rushing attack and the line of scrimmage. I have the Noles winning by 16, 37-21. I don't really think they struggle too much in this game.
Okay. Not so fast, my friend, to pull one from Lee Corso. I think it's going to be one of those ugly games, much like Vanderbilt plays us. Like, we're clearly better, but they just won't go away. I think Boston College is going to hang around and just make it an ugly game where they run the ball a lot. That's what Adazio does. Adazio loves dive left and dive right. We saw that at Florida and annoyed the mess out of us. You know what? I'm going Boston College.
Oh my goodness!
Craziness.
Do you watch Florida State football, Chris? What is up?
I did. I watched them last year.
Yeah, you did.
And I watched them last year, and this is why I'm saying this.
Oh my goodness!
This is what college football does. These games that you should not lose, you're going to lose. I think Florida State's. Not by a lot. By 1 point maybe.
Ooh. The only reason I think they would struggle is because of the weather. It's November and it's in Boston. It's cold. That's the only thing I see them struggling with. But Chris, we need to readjust your perspective here. This is not going to happen. Wake Forest and BC is losses. All right, gosh. Even our worst season last year, those are the two teams we beat. Man,
I'm just saying, like maybe as the season goes on, my mind will be changed. But going into it, I'm just going from the Florida State I saw last year.
Yeah.
I'm going crazy. I'm going crazy and going.
All right.
If it's at Doak, yeah, I agree. Not even close.
Okay. All right.
But this is the crazy night. I'm gonna call it. They're gonna be a night game. It's gonna be this weird, fluky. Everything goes right for BC. Florida State's the better team, but I'm going BC.
Oh boy. Yeah, I'm gonna have to really disagree with you there, unless there's again weather or like some like nasty hangover with Miami.
Where that
1 point loss just really hangs in. I mean, and Miller not ready. That's it. But talent wise, there's no way we're better than BC. But all right.
I agree. You're better talent wise, but
you never know. The talent doesn't always translate. You're right. It can be a different motivating factor for sure. Oh, Chris.
I know, controversy.
Yeah.
I know, we're always too nice to each other. We're gonna switch it up.
No, yeah. Let's take off the gloves now.
I know, right?
Okay, cool. So, week 11, Florida State thinks Florida State, according to Brandon's opinion, will win, and Chris says they're gonna lose. Crazy. So number 12 of the college football season. What do the Gators have in store, and how do you think they'll fare?
We're going to Missouri, and I'm worried about this game. I'm really, really worried about this game. They came to the swamp last year and just obliterated us, and they do that. They do that a couple times, but I think we get back on track. I think it's just going to be an ugly game. I'm liking our defense now. Kelly Bryant is on their team, and he scares me a little bit, especially on the road. He definitely scares me. But I think the Gators squeak out a win, 20-17. Defense, maybe like a pick six or something like that to seal the game or something. Maybe a little higher scoring than that. But the Gators struggle again. But pull out the victory on the road against Missouri. Okay. But I'm nervous. I'm really nervous about this game.
Yeah, I mean, they certainly have improved. They have had a history of success against the Gators. I'm not calling a crazy upset here, but I do think Missouri wins this game. I don't feel like this is a shocker. They're on the road. Missouri has had their way with the Gators home and away. So heck, they won the East the first 2 years they joined the conference, right? So,
yeah,
you have Kelly Bryant, and you have an improving offense, and I had 4 question marks for the Gators going in. Question mark at Tennessee versus Tennessee, question mark versus Auburn, Vanderbilt, and at Missouri. And I don't think Florida wins all 4 of those. So you're going to drop 2 or 3, I would assume. And I really think strongly against Missouri, that'll be one of them, and then Auburn being the other. So that's my take, but, there's the revenge factor.
Yeah, I think if this game is played the week earlier, I don't see us winning. But I think we're going to have that wake-up game, if you will, against Vanderbilt. And I think that's – because initially when I saw this on the schedule, I was like, oh, we're losing that game.
Okay.
The more I thought about it, the more I looked at everything, I'm thinking we barely win this game. But, I don't think you're crazy to say that we lose this game.
Yeah, and it's hard to know how good Missouri's going to be outside of Kelly Bryant right now. But that's my pick. And again, I go along with the history of matchups, and that factors a lot in. So, full disclosure.
Yeah. Yep. I'm interested to see how he does in that system. I really am. How he flourishes on that.
And his decision to stay after a head coaching change, that was bold.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you have a lot of offensive linemen returning, so that matters a lot to a quarterback. And I'm glad he stuck with his commitment. That's really good for him.
Yeah.
All right, so Week 12, Florida State does not have an exciting game. They host Alabama State. And I don't even know what their mascot is, not going to lie.
Hornets. They are the Hornets.
Look at that. Chris coming through in the clutch. I love it.
I looked it up.
I
knew it.
Florida State is 24-0 against FCS schools, so obviously not worried here. And Alabama State, it was 4-7 last season. So let's just look for a lot of guys to get experience, QBs, O-line. Let's rest our injured starters. I'm going to take Florida State 48-10. 48 is based on like other FCS school points scored, and 10 may be high for them. They may only score 6 or 3. So, still a comfortable win by at least 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, I agree. That's not even not even worth talking more about it. I agree.
Absolutely. So that moves the Noles, according to my calculations, to 8-3. Week 13. Guess what? Nothing for us to talk about. Gators on a bye, Noles on a bye.
Yeah.
How about that? So we're both entering the main matchup, the main rivalry in the state, fully rested. So how about that? This year's matchup between the Noles and Gators will be in Gainesville. Gross. I'll let you go first, Chris. What are your thoughts on this game, and what's your prediction?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be in the battle for the East, so I think our focus is going to be on Florida State. I think our focus is going to be on maybe squeaking into a New Year's Six. I don't really think we will, but I think at this point in the season we're going to have some hope of it, and I think it's really going to help so we don't overlook Florida State. Last year's game really got an idea of where it was a microcosm of where each other's seasons were and where they were going, and the programs. I think Florida State is going to make some positive strides forward, but I think also Florida's going forward as well. I think there's still that gap there. I don't know if it's a big 41-14 gap, but I think Florida handles their business in the swamp. I think Florida State's gonna throw some haymakers at us. I really do. But I think that at the end of the day, the Gators win the game 38-21. And the Florida State puts a couple touchdowns on us. I think Blackman's going to throw it deep to Terry. Something like that, something crazy.
Okay.
And I think Florida State's going to play tough. I just think that we're the better team. And we're going to be a little more motivated at the end of the season.
That's a good take. There's no denying the Gators have better talent, whether it's the quarterback, the secondary, although that's closer than it was before, and the wide receiver talent's pretty close, but I still give the edge to the Gators. You still have better running back talent. We'll see by the end of the year whether or not Akers is having the season we want. Better punter and Towson, of course, from Orlando, by the way. And right now, better coaching. Although, again, that may change. Here's what we should consider, though, in this game, is that UF lost 2 games at home last year in Mullen to lesser teams, to Kentucky and to Missouri, pretty badly to Missouri, actually. And this is the biggest game for recruiting for the Noles, and that is what Taggart's strength has always been. Now, by the end of last year, there's not a whole lot of hope to have beaten the Gators because they were rolling pretty hard, and we just were very clearly undermatched. But Taggart may lay it on the line, and I would not be surprised if the Noles pull an upset here. There is no way Florida State is going to go 0-6 against rivals in their first 2 seasons of Taggart. It just isn't going to happen. So if it's not going to happen here, it's got to be against Clemson or Miami somewhere else, right? Both of us coming off of a bye. I'm still picking the Gators to win.
You really had, for a brief second, I was like, nah.
I had you. I still take the Gators by 31-21, so by 10, not by 17. But I couldn't justify a pick there. And last year, coming off of, we had a big win against BC at home. The Gators had some question marks going into that game, but I was like, no, and even in the first half of the game, we're like, it's still close. And I leaned over to people and I was like, but we're not playing well. Even though it's close, like Florida stalled out in the red zone, and like it's close not by our own doing, but because they've made some questionable decisions, and they're just going to dominate in the second half. I just saw it coming. I didn't know by that much, but I'm still think pretty confidently the Gators win this game.
The Florida State does have, obviously it's a rivalry game. You saw how they played against Miami last year. They surprised a lot of people, how close they played and the fact that they almost won. So there is that, and I agree with what you said about recruiting, and but Florida's it's just going to be too talented to lose this game. I'm just trying to think of other ways. Maybe, what's going to happen is, I do this all the time, no matter where we're at. Right before the Florida State game, I'm like, oh, we're losing this game. That's just I think of all the ways. I'm like, oh, he's not going to play, and they're going to do this and that. So the week of, I might have the game like us winning by a point. But as of right now, just trying to pull back from it. I don't see how we lose this game. Yeah. Obviously, as the season plays out, things happen, and I could be saying something different. But right now, I think Florida wins, and it's not really going to be too close. I think it's going to be a tough game, and maybe at halftime the score is going to be 7 points, 8 points, something like that. But I think we pull it out and are comfortable at the end of the game. Yeah,
and especially since it's at Gainesville, I don't really see a whole lot of reason to dispute that. So,
yeah.
It pains me, but that would mean 0-6 against rivals in 2 years. That's yuck. But talent-wise, that's where we are, and you have to rebuild from that. I would hope Taggart surprises us and beats a rival or two this season. Miami's probably the best chance we have. We already announced Clemson. There's just no way. So you'd have to pull a major upset in Gainesville. And yeah, you said Miami, so there you go. All right. So actually, Chris, something I want to do for our fans and community this year is we're going to keep track of our picks so they can see how right and wrong we are. So did I get it correctly? You said the Gators will go 10-2?
9-3.
Oh, 9-3. I'm sorry. Must miss a game there. My apologies. And I have the Noles going 8-4. So I'm going to log that right now. Going to put that out on social media so people can track us. And then the other thing we're going to do, so everyone else listening, we appreciate the follows, is we're going to track the week-by-week picks. So we're going to do like hey, this is preseason what we thought, and then this is week-by-week how we did. So that way we can be a little more accountable to our fan base and just track better how we did, See how we looked at the end of the year.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
All right. So regardless of what the records end up being, we know it's going to be a fun season. And that's why we follow it. That's why we do what we do. So this was part 2 of our 2019 preview week, or part 3, will be the preview for the rest of the Florida schools. So we appreciate you staying tuned for that, and thank you for your patience while we got everything out, because it's a lot to cover. But we also know that this is the year that everyone's looking forward to the most, because a lot of Florida schools are making an upswing. Even the FIUs and UCFs of the world, and I'm excited to report on them as well. I don't know about you.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of the coaching changes at Miami, a lot of stuff going on there. Will USF continue to slide? Will UCF be in New Year's 6 again? A lot of questions to see how they're going to play out this year.
Absolutely. So before we sign off, Chris, go ahead and remind the fans how they can reach out to us on how they think our teams will do in the regular season, how they can send in their fan audio clips of their favorite teams and their records, and how they just get in touch with us in general.
Go to FloridaFocusPodcast.com. That is the best way to get us, to reach us, to listen to us, to communicate to us. We'd love to hear from you. Tell me that my picks are nuts, and how nuts they are, and see what your picks are, and see where they line up, and what you think the Gators are going to do, what you think the Noles are going to do, or how many teams. How about this? We'll throw this out there. How many Florida teams make a bowl this year?
Hey, well, that's a good question. We should do
that.
that. Yeah, that's a really good one. I like that. So you have 2 questions now. It's on you guys. Favorite team and how many wins they're going to have in the regular season. And the second question is how many Florida teams will make a bowl.
Yeah.
Love it.
Of the 7,
yeah. The 7 major ones, yeah. Man. All right. So along with that, if you have feedback for us, the website, but also a review would be nice. However you feel we're doing. Whatever podcast player of choice you have, we would appreciate that feedback, even if it's not positive. We would love to know why and how we can improve the show. So, anything else before we sign off for part 2 of this 3-part series, Chris?
No, man. I'm getting ready, getting excited.
Heck yeah. So, this is Brandon saying, go Noles.
Go Gators.